Hello everyone, welcome to General Psychology, Psychology 101, and today we're going to be talking about sleep and dreams. Now, sleep and dreaming are really interesting subjects within the field of psychology, and sleep is a very important thing to study, but we really know very little about, especially dreams, but to a lesser extent, sleep, which is surprising given that sleep takes up about a third of our lives. We know that sleep is partially determined by what's known as our circadian rhythm. This is kind of our internal biological clock that's driven by the 24-hour day-night cycle that we deal with here on Earth. We do see some differences in circadian rhythm by age. Younger individuals tend to be more gravitated towards the night, whereas as we get older, we tend to become early birds. But what we do know about sleep is that there are different stages of sleep. Specifically 4 different stages that we can identify that fall into a very specific pattern. And we cycle through them every 90 minutes. So we start with what's known as non-REM stage 1 sleep. This involves slow breathing, irregular brain waves, and kind of initial states of unconsciousness. Sometimes we experience hallucinations during this stage. We should then shift to non-REM stage 2 sleep. We enter kind of a deeper relaxation for about 20 minutes. We see kind of small and rapid bursts of brainwave activity during the stage. Then we go into non-REM stage 3 sleep. This is a deep sleep for about 30 minutes. It's difficult to wake people up from this stage. We then quickly return to non-REM stage 2 sleep and then shift into what's known as REM sleep. And REM, we've been using that term throughout the other stages, but REM stands for rapid eye movement sleep. That means during this stage, our eyes are rapidly moving, shifting, looking up side to side the entire time. This lasts for about 10 minutes, especially initially when we start to fall asleep. And this is the stage of sleep where we start to see vivid dreams. Muscles are relaxed. Other body systems are still active, though, such as we have arousal, sexual arousal as well during this stage. And it's also difficult for people to wake up. But this is the stage where we see dreams occur. After REM sleep, sometimes we wake up or we kind of start the cycle all over again. And as the night goes on, we start to see that REM sleep starts to increase in duration, and so does the non-REM stage 2. And the non-REM stage 3 starts to get shorter and shorter. So we start to see longer periods of REM sleep that allow for longer stages of dreaming. When we talk about sleep patterns, the adage goes that you're supposed to get about 8 hours of sleep per day. Well, that's not true. That can't possibly apply to every single person because we see a lot of genetic and cultural differences in what is the appropriate or sufficient amount of sleep that an individual should get. There are differences in how we sleep, how frequently we sleep, and there are also differences in why we sleep, especially differences in why researchers think we sleep. There are a bunch of theories out there. Some think it's the fact that sleep protects us, so if we think evolutionarily, if we get sleepy, we then retreat to an area that might be safe. We might avoid dangers that would occur at night. Sleep can help us recuperate. It restores and repairs brain tissue. Sleep helps us consolidate memories, especially recently learned information, helps us remember things later. Sleep helps feed creative fuels, helps with creative thinking. So if you think of the phrase, let's sleep on it, so let's not make a decision until we sleep on it, that can actually help with decision making, especially decision making in creative situations. And sleep also helps support growth. During sleep, our body actually releases a growth hormone that helps build our bodies and muscles and other areas of our body and brain. And sleep is especially important because when we don't get enough sleep, we see a lot of issues. We see that individuals who are, without any restrictions, allowed to sleep for as long as they want, they tend to sleep for at least 9 hours. And people who do so tend to feel a lot more energized and a lot happier afterwards. And when we don't get those 9 hours, well, our brain keeps tabs. It's keeping track of the debt that we have, the sleep debt, and it tries to make up for it at later dates. It's not the case where if we only get 6 hours one night then the next night, if we can sleep, we get those extra 2 hours. It takes us a couple days, sometimes a couple weeks, to kind of get back up to snuff, up to speed, and not have a sleep debt. So what happens when we don't get enough sleep? What happens when we are deprived of the appropriate amount of sleep that we need? Well, it's often a predictor of depression. It generally makes you stupid. You don't often make good decisions when you're sleep deprived. It can actually make you fatter, can help you gain weight. People who are sleep deprived are often more susceptible to different viruses or cancers. And it can also decrease your attention. So oftentimes you'll see people who are sleep deprived driving cars late at night, especially truck drivers. You see a lot of accidents occur. We also see a lot more car accidents occur after we spring forward for daylight savings time. So everyone is losing sleep in that situation, and we see a jump in accidents. And we see that sleep deprivation, is especially common amongst college students. So all of you out there, get your sleep. If you need to wait until the next day to do your assignments, I understand, but you need to get your sleep in. For one thing, it helps you consolidate all the information that you're learning here in class. So what about individuals that have some type of issue sleeping, who have maybe sleep disorders? Well, we have different types of disorders that exist. Insomnia is characterized by persistent problems with falling asleep or staying asleep. If you're anxious or maybe energized and you can't fall asleep because of that, that's not insomnia, that's something else. Insomnia is relatively common. I think about 1 in 10 adults tend to have it. And it also tends to be worse for individuals who are worrying about their insomnia. So anxiety kind of adds to the issues. Narcolepsy is when people fall asleep unwillingly. You get sudden attacks of overwhelming sleepiness. And these kind of bouts of falling asleep often last for only, on average, 5 minutes. And people are falling right into REM sleep, so falling into sleep that could involve dreams. And recent research has found that people initially thought that narcolepsy was all in someone's head. Well, it's actually a biological disease. It's actually a brain disease that leads to people falling asleep in these weird situations. People can have sleep apnea. This is when people intermittently stop breathing during sleep. That leads to people waking up every so often, quite frequently actually, to kind of catch their breath. You see snorts and gasps. And people who have sleep apnea aren't aware that that's occurring because they aren't able to remember these bouts of waking up and gasping for air. We also see that sleep apnea is more common for obese people due to the bodily makeup. It just kind of facilitates that type of not breathing during sleep. Some airways are blocked. Night terrors are another sleep disorder. These occur during non-REM stage 3 sleep, and these occur more often in children. Sometimes these children will sit up, walk around incoherently. Their heart rate might double, their breathing frequency might double, and these children appear terrified. They're walking around scared or kind of sitting up in their bed scared. But we see that these children, after the fact, when they wake up the next morning, aren't able to remember anything about these kind of negative dreams that they appear to be having. And lastly, we see interesting behaviors during sleep, such as sleepwalking or sleep talking. Both of these are, for the most part, pretty harmless. They are generally childhood disorders, but they can carry on into adulthood. And we do see that there are some genetic precursors to these, so it is hereditary in one way, shape, or form. So we talked about sleep. What about dreams? Well, dreams are hallucinations of the sleeping mind. We spend about a third of our life sleeping. We spend about 6 years of our life dreaming. What exactly do we dream about? Well, it depends on what type of sleep we're having. If we're daydreaming, oftentimes we'll dream about familiar events or details of our life. If we're in REM sleep, however, it gets crazy. We often have very vivid dreams. We feel like things are actually occurring in real life, especially when we wake up in the middle of REM sleep. They can often be emotionally laden dreams, and they can often be very bizarre. They can feel real, but we're aware that the things that were occurring in our dreams were very unrealistic. And 8 out of 10 dreams appear to be negatively valent, so involving some kind of anxiety or depression that a person may be experiencing in real life. And one interesting thing about dreams is that while we sleep, our sensory information from the real world is often woven into our dream seamlessly. So we still perceive when we're asleep, and the sensory information that we perceive tends to fit into our dreams pretty seamlessly and efficiently. So if we get sprayed in the face with water in real life, we would imagine in our dream that we're maybe under a waterfall, or someone in that dream is spraying us with water. So that's what we dream about. Why do we dream? There are several theories out there. Some of the initial theories was that we dream to satisfy our own wishes. So maybe we enact out things in our dreams that we couldn't possibly do in the real world due to social constraints or ethical concerns. This is kind of Freud's idea that our dreams have a subcontext, an erotic subcontext, that is the reason for all our negativity in our real lives. That doesn't really apply. People don't really follow those ideals in psychology anymore. We think that we dream to file away our memories. Dreaming can help facilitate learning material from the previous day, for example. It may be to develop or preserve neural pathways. This idea is based on the fact that we need stimulation in our neurons to keep them active and healthy. So dreaming does that with certain areas of the brain. Dreaming may simply be a way for our brain to make sense of neural static that's occurring while we're sleeping, trying to make sense of random neural activity. Or it can also reflect cognitive development. It could be a way of stimulating reality and engaging the brain networks in certain skills or cognitions that we need to practice and get better at so we can apply them to our real lives and our day-to-day lives. But overall, probably the main take-home of dreams is that we need REM sleep. This is where dreams occur. We see something known as the REM rebound, where if we don't get enough REM sleep in one night, or don't get enough REM sleep during one cycle of sleep, we see REM occurs in frequency and also duration the more we sleep in the future sleeping. So REM sleep is important. Dreaming is apparently important. We don't exactly know why, but we know it's important. So we try and facilitate it as much as possible. So that's all I have today. Thank you for your time and attention. I will see you all next time. Bye.